All right, and we are here at the 2017 CPAC, and we have the pleasure of speaking with a man that many of you know as Joe the Plumber. I am not going to even attempt to pronounce your last name because I'm going to butcher it, so I will let you say your last name.
Wurzelbacher.
There you go. How are you, sir? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
So the first question that I have is, let's go back to, 2008?
Yep.
What was that experience like to just all of a sudden become known all over the country, all over the world in some cases, just out of the blue?
Yeah, I'd love to tell you I handled it, like a rock star, but quite frankly, it shook you up. The company I worked for at the time, a guy had started himself, and I instead of being an asset to him, all of a sudden I found that I was possibly hurting his business, and so I had to leave it. And he was a great guy, I loved working for him, but I didn't want to hurt a business this man created himself. So I found myself without a job real quick. And then looking on the news, I found out I was a racist. I found out I was a bigot. These things were unknown to me at the time. I didn't realize it. And so they had to discredit me. And so a lot of bad things were said about me. People were digging through mails, digging through this, digging through that, trying to do anything and everything to hurt me, so that what I asked then candidate Barack Obama would have been discredited. And so a lot of my strength came ultimately from God. I found myself praying a great deal. If anything, it actually improved my walk with Christ moving forward, because I'm a big guy. I believe in, I don't mind mixing it up. I've always been a physical guy, but ultimately, that strength fails you. And so it really helped my walk with Christ. And then moving forward, I realized as long as I got the respect of my wife, my children, my family, then I didn't really care what the rest of the world thought.
Oh, absolutely. That's a very, very good perspective to have. And that actually led into my next question. I was going to ask you about the media coverage. I remember, the question that you asked, it wasn't like a loaded question or anything. It was a fair and reasonable question. Why do you think that the media in general went after you the way that they did just for asking that simple question?
Well, candidate Barack Obama was on the cusp of being the first black American president, which, I find myself thinking that's a great thing. But ultimately, I also want the man that's best for the job. I don't care white, black, it doesn't matter to me in that regard. But it was a historical moment. And here I happened to put a chink in his armor. And so they had to come after.
Because he answered the question honestly.
Oh yeah, he definitely. I wanted to buy the plumbing business. I was honorably discharged from the United States Air Force as a journeyman plumber.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
It was a pleasure. And but I wasn't a union member, and so they don't like you about that. I wasn't registered in the state of Ohio as a plumber, and these are things I never tried to hide or talk about. But they had to come after me because I was a possible. I don't want to say I was a threat, because I really think he had it in the bag by then. John McCain was a very poor candidate to run for the Republicans, but they did. They had to tear me down. After I had an interview, and I said that Barack Obama essentially tap danced around my answer like Sammy Davis Jr. Well, Sammy Davis Jr., as most of us know, was one hell of a tap dancer. All of a sudden, I'm racist
and
for
so
that.
That was taken out of context.
Absolutely. And then the media won't do their homework. They don't realize I have black cousins. And, so that Thanksgiving, hey, I hear you're a racist. I'm like, yeah, I am a racist. But like I went back to, as long as I have the respect of my family and friends, I really didn't care what they said, because they have their agenda, they have goals. And a lot of times, unfortunately, they don't align with what the American people or what's good for the American people. They got to create turmoil. They got to create havoc. That way, people keep reading. And I just happen to be the punching bag for them for a little while.
All right, so let's talk about the Liberty Alliance. That's who you're with now. What is the Liberty Alliance, and what is your work with it?
Well, I do a couple things. One, personally, I go around the country still speaking on states' rights and Second Amendment. I'm very, very, very pro own a gun. In fact, on my website, I give a lot of guns away. I talk about I want every sane, law-abiding American to own a gun because I'll feel safer. and all the facts on our side when it comes to gun ownership. And so I think we find ourselves on the defense a lot, on our heels when some tragedy happens. But still, the facts are the facts, and they're on our side. And, if you have a more armed populace, you actually be a safer place to live. With Liberty Alliance, they're a conservative Christian-run organization who helps do marketing, branding, and monetizing of websites. So if you have something you want to say and you have some followers on Facebook and you can get an audience, then what we will do at Liberty Alliance is help you promote that brand and market it, and at the same time help you monetize your message. That way you can keep doing it and get the information out there. One of the hard things about becoming a conservative activist, if you don't have a benefactor, it's hard to stay out there and make things happen. So, you have to make a little bit of money and to get your message out there. Otherwise, kind of what happened for the last 20 or 30 years, conservatives are so busy making money and taking care of their family, we've let the left take over.
Well, and it's funny. I always have this debate with conservatives when they talk about the media, and I said, well, the biggest problem with the media is that there aren't enough conservatives in it, right? So the only way that you can fix it is to go in it. You need more outlets. You need more people to elevate their voices and things like that. So the stuff that Liberty Alliance is doing it sounds like it's great work.
Oh, it is. And I'm not a big fan of Facebook per se. I don't do a lot with it. But for my business, I do. It's a great tool. It's an avenue for a regular Joe can actually get an audience. And he can get out there and do a live feed, and he'll find that people, or she'll find people that agree with her or him, and be able to build an audience and get that message out there. And that's one of the things that the Democrats or liberals were able to do, is they were able to isolate us for years, and we thought we were alone out there. It's like, am I the only one that really thinks this way? And come to find out, after 2008 and the explosion of these American movements, some called a Tea Party, we found there's a lot of us that think the same way. And we just had to come together and have our voices heard. And Facebook is a great tool for conservatives to use as long as they get out there and understand it.
All right. Let everybody know how to get in contact with you, how to find you on Facebook and Twitter and all of that good stuff.
Well, you'll find me at joeforamerica.com. That's the website I run. I have about 12 writers that write for me. And then on Facebook is just the real Joe the Plumber. There's a picture of me and a shirt saying, spread my work ethic, not my wealth. And I talk to everybody. I respond to all the messages personally. I get probably 50 or 60 a day, and I spend an hour each day responding to people because I want to give them the courtesy. They've taken the time. I get a lot of trolls and a lot of stupid things, and I tell them to have a nice day and go away. But if you're serious and want to get a hold of me, I'm definitely open to it because I've met a lot of great Americans, a lot of people I would not have met if this has happened, and it's been a huge blessing in my life.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir, for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot, brother.